Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday to you on this special pre-holiday episode of the Rush Hour Podcast, July 3rd, 2025. Maybe you're working today. Maybe you mailed it in all summer. I don't really know. Maybe Doge cut you. Who knows? Who cares? We're here for it, folks. I got all your stories for your ride home. We'll be talking about Diddy. He was denied bail. He sits in jail. Oh, look, I rhymed. And then Bachelor in Paradise. The conversation continues as we prepare for the premiere. As you guys know, I'll be covering that show, as I always do. So stick around for those recaps. And then the house flips. The house flips on this big, beautiful bill. There were 5 holdouts, and now there's only one. Only one person on the Republican side decided not to vote for this bill, which is going to, shut down hospitals and get rid of park services and take away your food stamps. I mean, it is a disaster of epic proportion. We'll talk about that. And the healthcare, what we could be doing with our time and money and energy and what we're not doing. But hey, there's always time for a change. So a lot to get into. All those stories and more, they start right now on The Rush. And as we dive into it, oh boy, let's start with a nice seasonal story. PETA is about to protest the hot dog eating contest. Buns steamed over Nathan's contest. They're planning to crash the event. And I'm sure Nathan's is like, hey, listen, why are you crashing our event? We don't even know if there's meat in these hot dogs. PETA knows what's in these hot dogs. I certainly don't. It's processed, who knows what. We don't want to know how the sausage is made. We just want to eat it and have a good time. But either way, that's where they'll be. Where will I be? I'll be on the road. I'll be driving today, or maybe I shouldn't say when, but I'll be driving to visit family. We were only home for 2 days, but tomorrow I've got a special episode for you. Whether you catch it tomorrow or this weekend, I've got a Q&A. I've seen all of the questions you guys have. I mean, some of them are really ridiculous. Some of them I can't read out loud. I mean, they'll make you blush. But I've got all your questions I'll be getting to on that episode. And all right, let's go to Taylor Swift. Here we have one of the brothers, the brother-in-law to Taylor Swift. She's not married or engaged, but hey, common law, I think it's official. Here's the brother-in-law, Jason Kelce, talking about what it was like to have Taylor Swift crash their tight end event and perform Shake It Off.
Get to what everybody else wants to talk about. There was a surprise guest at Tight End University, special guest, Taylor. Taylor showed up to Tight End University.
Tay showed up.
How did this come about?
We're in Nashville. She grew up in Nashville. She moved there when she was younger. We had this plan for a while that we were going to have some fun with the tight ends, and especially Tight Ends and Friends, all the evening events. I won't say when the idea came up, but when we were there at Tight End and Friends, and we knew that there was a professional like Kane Brown who he could figure it out. He's a pro. He's been on stage a million times. Tay just kind of went up to him and the band and just was like, hey, if you guys are down, I'll go up there, play a song and see if we can pop the roof off this place, man. And sure enough, she's so good with just everybody, just people, and making people feel comfortable in it. And absolutely rocked the stage yet again. It was awesome, man.
There it is. So yeah, Taylor Swift rocked the stage. I mean, if you're Taylor Swift, you can just go up to anywhere. The comedian version of Taylor Swift is Dave Chappelle, right? You can go up to any stand-up show ever if you're Dave Chappelle and say, can I get some stage time? And they're going to say yes. Regardless of what you think of them, that's just how it works. There's Bill Burr. There's just a few people that no matter what, they can walk on stage and do it because they are that level of success. And in the world of music, that would be Taylor Swift. All right, in the world of Bachelor, we've got Jesse Palmer making his rounds on Good Morning America. I don't know if they all got the memo to ask about age gaps. It's super creepy, but we've got this conversation that keeps on. The way they're teasing the Bachelor in Paradise this season is stating that they'll have the Golden Bachelors intermingling with the younger Bachelors. And it's like, do whatever you want. You're all consenting adults. Here they are.
Talked about the Goldens are involved in this. Is there potential for maybe like an age gap kind of romance?
Okay, so Will, here's the thing.
Weird.
Oh, wow.
So
no, good question.
And Mel Owens is like, you're going to fire me as the next Golden Bachelor. I just wanted someone in their 40s. Now, obviously the show has been around long enough that there are former contestants that started the show in their 20s that are now in their 40s, and maybe they like a guy in their 60s. And who knows? I mean, sure, there could possibly be crossover. I don't expect that will happen.
Analysis. Yeah. Get into it.
So I love our Golden cast.
Yeah.
They're fantastic, and they're going to provide so much at the beach. The way I framed this to everyone was, obviously we have two different generations sharing the beach together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not in a position to tell anybody who they can love and who they can't love, but I made the suggestion that everybody just stay in their generational lane. And above all else, don't make it weird.
Well,
I would have to assume the only people that would make it weird would be the golden men. That's just my thought. Golden men are creepy. It's like, here's a joke, we should hook up, but it's not a joke if you want to. I'm just saying. There's this like creep to charm sort of blend that happens of men of a certain age, and it's like, all right, whatever, do what you got to do. I think what we can agree on is if anyone wants to get with anyone, everybody wants to get with Jesse Palmer, regardless of gender. Regardless of generation, everybody wants to get with Jesse Palmer. So there they are, asking the questions that need to be asked. And in our final story, before we get into, the world on fire, is here we have the Diddy trial. We have Mark Garagos of Garagos and Garagos speaking with Harvey Levin of TMZ about the Diddy trial and what his sentence could look like. We know Diddy was denied bail. No fireworks for him this 4th of July. But will he be out soon? He's been serving. I mean, gosh, how long's he been in jail for? 8-10 months? He's been in there for longer. I have no idea. So could it be time served?
Sitting in a jail cell right now, and the judge denied him bail. And he could listen. He's not going to get life, and we know that was on the line.
Oh, and by the way, the government, they filed a letter. What's the government going to ask for? They're going to ask for 50 to 60 months or something like that. The sentencing guidelines, frankly, are 20 to 27. He was acquitted. The judge denied bail, but the judge specifically said, "Look, I have to because they're alleging it's a crime of violence." And the defense basically conceded the violence and said that this is a domestic violence case, except he's not being charged with domestic violence. He had a standard. The judge adhered to the standard. That doesn't mean that at sentencing he's not going to...
You sound like you're thinking like 3-4 years.
No, I think if there's any justice, he'll get 21 months time served, something like that. Even if you were to get 36, he's eligible for all kinds of other stuff. He's not going to do much more time.
All right, he's not going to do much more time there. And think of it what you will, but they did not find him guilty of those serious charges, and that's the world we live in, right? You get a jury of your peers. Again, does Diddy even have peers? I don't know if that would count, but either way, they came to the conclusion they came to, period. All right, well, coming up next, let's do this. I'm going to reset the deck, but I want to talk about all the aspects of this big, beautiful bill. What makes it so interesting is how everybody knows it's bad. Everybody. The people that are voting for it know it's bad. They're just afraid for their jobs. Christians know it's bad. I have yet to find people who can make a reasonable argument as to why it's good. The Republican Party kind of has prided themselves on wanting smaller government, right? They want to balance the budget. Oh, all of these handouts you're giving, we don't want that. Well, this bill does the exact opposite. It puts so much debt onto our country that there's going to be like trillions of dollars a year that's just spent servicing that debt, paying the the interest on that. So it's a terrible thing. One of the questions that was asked of me on the Q&A, which I'll be doing tomorrow, was why am I so biased? And if I have a bias, I mean, we all do, but I would say my bias is towards the middle class. It's really towards people that need help. And I think the rich can do okay, right? The rich get richer. They always do, right? They know when to sell their stock market. They know a portfolio. They know when to buy it again. They know how to play the system in a way that it's really hard to lose if you're rich. It's the middle class. It's the lower class. That's who I care about. I was raised as a kid who never asked his mom for gifts because I kind of knew we couldn't afford it, right? I was okay with those hand-me-downs. So I think of the people right now, the single moms out there, the folks that they want to, give their kid that great birthday party, even though they know they can't afford it. They got, they're paying interest on debt, on money that they don't have because they had to borrow for a medical treatment or whatever. I think of those people, and if I'm ever accused of being biased, I hope it's people understanding I'm biased towards helping out those people, which is, I think, what Jesus would do. More on this story next. Today's episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. As I get older, I keep thinking I should be going to the doctor more. You know, to deal with things like sleep trouble, neck pain, anxiety from doom scrolling on TikTok. But it can be tough to get to the doctor. I want to keep myself healthy, but the system makes it impossible to find the right guy for my needs. Until I found ZocDoc, they make it so easy to find the right fit and book an appointment fast directly on their website. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Appointments made through ZocDoc also happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/rush hour to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/rush hour. ZocDoc.com/rush hour. Now back to the show. One of the aspects of this big, beautiful bill is they have to find a way to pay for the bill, right? It's already going to add trillions of dollars in debt, but they're basically doing tax cuts for the ultra rich. And by the way, I'm in a tax bracket that is not the top tax bracket by any means, but it is a tax bracket that will probably save money. I will probably spend less money in taxes because of this. I still don't want to. And you might say, Dave, well, in that case, why don't you just donate extra money? And I think the response to that is, I want to live in a world where everyone pays their fair share. I want to live in a country where we decide if you were able to profit off of the roads and infrastructure and luck and all of the things that we have in our country that led you to become this ultra wealthy person, I think you should pay your fair share just like everyone else wants to. And sometimes if you make a lot of money, that means you pay a lot more in taxes. It's just a percentage thing. Like, congratulations, you profited off of a situation and you knocked it out of the park, and I think you should pay more. Now, this current bill does the exact opposite, right? It does the exact opposite, but how do they pay for it? Well, they pay for it by taking money out of programs that were there to help people. One being food stamps, one being some of these, rural hospitals. I mean, so many rural hospitals are about to close, and the people that are going to be affected more than anybody are red states, states that voted Republican, states that actually have the Congress and, that are voting for this. They're going to be affected more than people like me. Here is just a conversation about Jesus, Christianity. A lot of people see us as a Christian nation because that's the majority religion, right? And I continue to ask the same question over and over. Is this what Jesus would want?
My husband and I have raised 6 kids, and I'm a former catechism teacher. So when we start this hearing with a prayer, it seemed right to me. And I spent a considerable time in my community volunteering, did a little bit of work with Meals on Wheels, and I was always the Friday delivery. And the reason I did the Friday delivery is because you didn't just deliver the meal of that day, you also delivered meals for the weekend. And that message that was embedded in me as I would over and over again go to seniors' homes who could not get out, they would ask me to put their weekend meal in the refrigerator. And I would open the refrigerator up, and the meal I was putting in there was the only thing inside. Because hunger is a very real thing. And for me, I'm Midwest practical. I'm Midwest common sense. When people are hungry, we feed them. We had a hearing right here in this room a couple of weeks ago about SNAP. There's some truths here that are not getting out. One is that the fraud rate in SNAP is less than 1%.
And imagine if the worst thing someone was doing was they were stealing a little bit of extra food, right? Imagine if maybe they're getting their unemployment payments, but they're still working on the side. They're just still trying to get by. It's kind of like during COVID when some people got $600 payments and some people got more than that. And it's like, listen, I think Bernie Sanders said it best. He was like, if for a little while we have a little extra money go around, is that such a bad thing? Like, these aren't people that are burning through their wallet so they can go vacation in Disney. They're just trying to eat for the weekend.
The other truth that's really important to understand is that able-bodied adults are currently required to work. So are there error rates in the states? Sure. Should we address it? Absolutely. But the idea that we are going to find $300 billion of cuts, $300 billion of cuts on that small percentage of people who are not working that are already required to, or error rates in the states, is just a flat out lie.
And that's the big lie you hear. I read the comment sections and people say, listen, they're not cutting anything. They're just getting rid of the fraud. That's the idea they want to tell people, the messaging point. We're just getting rid of the fraud. Listen, if you can go find a job, you'll be fine. As if everyone doesn't already have multiple jobs, trying to get by, trying to pay their bills.
What we are really doing is cutting food for people. And in my state, most of them are children. So this isn't about the great big beautiful bill. It's not about a balance sheet. It's not about the farmers. It's about the percentage of hungry children we are willing to tolerate in this country. The requirement that if you have a child in your house over the age of 7, that you have to work, even if that child is disabled, is cold. It is cruel. It is heartless. And it also tells me you've never talked to a family with a disabled child and what that does to a family. We are talking about $6 a day. So when we are sitting in a committee room representing the people that we represent that have brought us here, we cannot invoke the name of Jesus Christ and say we are doing his work when we are pulling food off the plates of children.
They're scumbags, folks. There's no other way to put this. Who am I biased towards? How about people that are just trying to get by, work hard, provide for their family? The problem with the greed that's out there, it's like we're hoarding. We want to pass it on to the next generation and more and more and more. We've seen this said before about other animals, right? If there was any other animals in the human kingdom that hoarded wealth the way the top 1% hoards wealth, we would analyze them. We would go, what's wrong with the bonobos? These bonobos are nuts. But instead it's humans, right? We want war. We want wealth, we want power, and we're letting people that we voted for get away with this. So here's another example. This is from last week, demanding accountability. Senator Hyde-Smith prepared to vote yes on a brutal Medicaid cut. So they all voted yes, but here's the moment. If you see your elected officials in public, you should be demanding answers from them. Have a listen.
Why are you voting to cut Medicaid? Why are you voting on Medicaid cuts? Can you tell us why? Medicaid saves lives. This baby is on Medicaid. This baby's life is saved because of Medicaid.
So there it is. A nice grandma voting. And again, it's not about one person. It's a collective. They're all afraid. They're all living in fear, bowing down to the king, afraid of what'll happen if they vote against it. You have to remember, this bill that's about to go through as I'm recording this bill, which they want to sign on 4th of July, it doesn't have to happen. There's no, if you don't do it by the end of the day, we hit the debt. There's no reason why they can't take more time to discuss it, get out the bad aspects of the bill, and everybody can agree. It's not left versus right, it's up versus down. Everybody can agree, whether you're Democrat or Republican. The middle class can agree that we should be taxing the billionaires.
Yeah, but that wasn't my question. But you can, if you want to talk about, explain to us. I think people want to know, why does someone like Jeff Bezos need a tax cut when all this other stuff is being cut? I think that's not an outrageous question. It's what's on a lot of people's minds. By the way, not just Democrats, but independents and Republicans. That's why that's what the polling tells us, is that people don't quite get it.
Our country is run by 80 billionaires. And the corporations that come with them. We're bought and paid for by them. Literally, if you put a bill together that said everybody who makes over $3 million will be taxed at 60% starting at the $3 million mark. It's called marginal tax increases. If you put a bill together that said, I think if you're making over $3 million, you can pay a little bit more to fix the frickin' potholes in your town, I think we'd be okay with that. I think that bill would get through because most people don't make $3 million. Most people aren't concerned about what you'll do if you can't get Jimmy into that extra private school or buy that third yacht. We're talking about the extraordinary amount of wealth in our country, and yet they won't do that. They won't touch the idea of a marginal tax increase on the ultra wealthy. That doesn't mean tax them at 60% for all of their money. It says, once you made $3 million per year, once you've got to that level, let's pay a little bit more so that Jimmy can get his teeth fixed, or so that Susie can deal with the lump in her breast, or that Jimmy can provide an extra couple meals for his family. Good God. This is obvious stuff.
I want to ask the question, what happened?
So Hakeem Jeffries this morning asked the question, what happened? As of last night, 5 of the Republicans were going to vote no on this bill. One guy said no, he turns his phone off and he leaves. Congressman Fitzpatrick. They couldn't even find the guy. Everybody else took a phone call. They all succumbed because they're little bitches, and they succumbed to the Supreme Leader. And who knows what private deals they all got? Who knows what level of extortion, what level of threat happened to get them to change their opinion, but they did. And you guys can know, I put my money where my mouth is. When I'm getting threatened with lawsuits, I double down and I do what I say I'm going to do. Having a little bit of moral fiber out there, not just bowing down because, your morals can be bended. There are a lot of good people out there. They just don't exist in our elected officials. They need to be voted out. If you voted for this bill, you should not be leading our country. You should not be representing our country. And it's going to take every single state, every county, every district to use their vote in the upcoming elections and change. Because you do have the option to say, rather than sending that extra couple missiles over there to blow up some innocent people in Gaza, why don't we just feed the people here? Why don't we fix the lead pipes in Detroit? Why don't we worry about our veterans? Why don't we take care of us? And this is supposed to be the party that ran on that idea, America first. Which America?
Earlier today, how was it that a few hours ago, several of my Republican colleagues had principled opposition to Donald Trump's one big, ugly bill?
Now, Hakeem Jeffries is speaking and has spoke for hours because they were going to pass this bill at 3, 4 in the morning, in the middle of the night. A bill that they only saw several hours earlier and had no time to actually read all of the new things that are in there. So they don't even know what's in this bill. But they wanted to do it so that Trump, before Nathan's McDonald's eating contest starts, he's able to sign this and get a good photo app. And for what?
Several hours ago, how is it that so many of our Republican colleagues, Mr. Speaker, had principled opposition?
And by the way, nothing has changed in the bill. It's not like the bill was rewritten. Private deals have been done.
It sounds to me in some way that you were saying that the president persuaded you by saying that he is going to some degree, override some of the provisions in the bill. Is that right?
No, he's not going to override it. He's going to on the permitting. He's going to drive a hard bargain on the permitting. He's going to have a.
He's going to drive a hard bargain. He's going to tell them to go knock it off. Knock it off out there. That's what he's going to do.
Accountability is the best way to describe it. And he assured us he was going to do that. And I think some executive orders you'll see come down the pipe, which will be good.
There it is. He's got he's got the accountability's coming. Concepts of accountability will be coming. And again, you got this guy, Scott Jennings. Man, this guy is evil. This pundit here on CNN, they finally rendered him speechless because there's no response to how bad this bill is. Have a listen.
Advice for Democrats is less hyperbole and more specifics on what people actually care about. Let me give you an example. Scott, you care a lot about the national park system. He's proposing a $1.2 billion cut to national park system. That's the most in the 109-year history of national parks. More specifically, 20 people are being laid off on the Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky. 30% of Kentuckians are on Medicaid. 200,000 are going to be losing their Medicaid. 35 hospitals in Kentucky receive disproportionate Medicaid funding, and so they're going to be at risk.
And by the way, here in Tennessee, you've got all of these rural hospitals that receive most of their budgets, most of the money that comes in for the work that they do is through Medicaid, right? Which is a program that is flawed, but it's a program where we put our money into the tax system and it pays for the health care for certain underprivileged groups. We should have Medicare for all. Guys, I'm going to break this down for you so fast right now. We are spending right now $750 billion a year on the interest of our debt. That's about to go up by a lot. Let's round it up to $1 trillion. We also spend $15,000 per person on healthcare. Now, a lot of people spend a lot more than that, but that's the average. And that's people that don't even want to go get proactive healthcare. That's just like, shit end of the stick healthcare. So 15,000 people, $15,000 per person, 330 million people in our country. That comes out to about $5 trillion a year. So you got $1 trillion we're just pissing away on our interest. We got $5 trillion we're paying for healthcare. If we went to a Medicare for all system, they say it would cost between $3 to $4 trillion. It would be way more efficient because you wouldn't have this middleman mob boss, the insurance companies, just taking off their fair share when they don't even need to exist, right? Your healthcare is not going to look any different. Your doctor is not going to all of a sudden be a better or worse doctor. They will continue to exist in a system where we all pay into it. So less missiles, less trillions of dollars to our... And by the way, how much is $1 trillion a year? Can you guys even understand that? SoFi Stadium, and this is money that we're just pissing away. We're not getting a bridge or a pothole fixed. It just goes away to interest. $1 billion a year. SoFi Stadium, where the LA Rams play, this beautiful state-of-the-art stadium, costs about $1 billion, right? So $1 trillion is 1,000 of those. If you divided the 50 states and gave every state 200, how many is a lot of these stadiums, you could litter every state with these beautiful stadiums for the cost of the money we're pissing away. And why do I share all of that? Because I just don't think people understand money. I don't think people understand how it works. They hear trillion, they hear billion. It all kind of sounds like more than they have right now. And yet, they have found a way, the powers that be, to get us to hate each other, to get us to be mad about who's kneeling at the national anthem and who doesn't, salute this or do that. And in the end, we've been robbed.
Ever want to hear the Republicans lecture about fiscal responsibility again? The last president to actually balance this budget was Bill Clinton. And today, Bob Rubin and Larry Summers wrote an op-ed in the New York Times that every American should read. Their budget will take the deficit up to 8% of GDP. It is historically unprecedented in the history of our country during peacetime. We've never had a more reckless deficit exploding bill than what they're posing. The Democrats have a proposal to bring the deficits back down under 4%. Bob Rubin and Larry Summers were the last ones who've done it. Hakeem Jeffries is leading with a sensible proposal to lower deficits. If you care about debt in this country, if you care about our grandkids being burdened with debt, if you care about a bond market devastation, then you need to recognize that this bill hurts America and you need to support the Democratic plan for deficit reduction.
How does it hurt America? It's called the Big Beautiful Bill. And of course, what's Congress doing? Here's Congress literally playing grab ass, grabbing each other's asses. Oh, hey, Steve, howdy, good to see you. Oh, glutes are looking nice. Have you been taking the stairs lately? F off. So as an American citizen, on behalf of all of my fellow American citizens here, what do I want to do on this Independence Day? I want to tell the people that are voting for this bill to go fuck themselves. I want to strip healthcare away from them and their families. And I want them to understand how it feels to live on the fritz. As they're getting these backdoor deals, they're going to forget about you and I this weekend. They're going to enjoy their Bud Light limes. They're going to go, put on their, salmon-colored shorts and salute the flag and pretend to be an American. What they are doing right now is not for you and I. And if that's a bias that I have, well, then so fucking be it. I'll be back tomorrow for my Q&A. I hope everyone has a fantastic long weekend. Don't light fireworks. Don't blow your hands up. Have a good one, folks. Maybe Saturday, you'll catch me at Go Bananas in Cincinnati. If you want to come say hi, I'll be telling some jokes there on the early show. All right, folks. Have a good one. Talk to you later. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.